What's up, poker people YouTube? Welcome back to the Vote and Vlogs here at TCH Houston. Let's get straight into the session, as always. So immediately get sat into the 1-3 no limit hold'em game, and we buy in for our usual $1,000 here. In the first hand of note, we're under the gun. We look down at ace-9 of clubs, and we open for $15. The low jack calls. The cutoff then 3 bets to $60. The blinds get out of the way, and I like to call here, and the low jack calls as well. Definitely a bit looser, and there's going to be problems which we have on the flop, which is ace 5-3 rainbow. So this is why you don't want to call with marginal aces, because a lot of time you're just going to be beat by something like ace jack, ace queen, ace king that 3 bets. But we do flop top pair, and it is hard to make a pair here and hold them. We go ahead and check it. Low jack checks, and the cutoff c bets $60, basically same size pre-flop. We're going to go ahead and make the call. As I said, it's hard to make a pair in hold'em. He's not always going to be c-betting a majority of ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack. He's going to be c-betting a lot of king, queens, king, jacks, and pocket pairs. So we make the call, and the low jack folds. Turn is now the 4 of clubs. He shouldn't have any deuce X's in his range here, so we're just going to go ahead and check it and call whatever he bets unless it's just an absurd sizing. He goes for a continuation bet of $140, to which we will make the call. River's the king of clubs, so it's very less likely that he has something like ace king, but he could still have stuff like ace queen, ace jack. But I think he'll just go for showdown value here with a lot of his ace X's, given that we could have something like ace 4, ace 5, ace 3 as well. We go ahead and check, and the cutoff checks back, and ace 9 is good in this spot. So definitely just advise some caution playing those marginal ace X's in those spots, because you can get value owned a lot of the time. But here on the button with pocket aces, we don't really have to worry about that. Low jack limps, we open for $20. The big blind and low jack call. 3 players to flop, which comes jack, jack, 7, 2 spades, and a diamond. Big blind and low jack check, and I like to play this one a bit tricky, keeping a bunch of our range uncapped at this point and just checking back. The turn is now the 4 of clubs, and the big blind checks. Low jack bets $20, and I like to raise here for $50. Yes, we could have a jack X here, but I want to just start building a pot, given he could have something like 9, 10, 8, 9, or spades that he could be barreling here on this turn. He's not only going to be barreling a jack. The big blind folds, and the low jack elects to go all in for $170. I call. We're not folding aces after underrepresenting it on the flop. I asked if he has a jack. He says no, so we most likely just have to fade spades or a straight draw. We hit the ace of spades for the effective nuts, basically, and he has 6, 8 of spades for a gutter and a flush draw, so that's definitely a nice one to pick up there. In this next one, we look down at 7, 6 of hearts in the hijack. Under the gun limps, low jack makes it $20. We make the call, small blind makes the call. The big blind folds, and under the gun calls as well. 4 players to flop, which comes 9, 5, 4 rainbow. Small blind checks, under the gun bets 100 with about 400 behind. Low jack folds, and given that we're open-ended, I think we can get a lot of good turn cards, not only hitting our straight, but also backdoor hearts. And I think we can get the rest of the money if we do hit. So I elect to make the call, and the small blind folds. Turn is the queen of clubs, and undergun just rips it. We obviously have to make the fold in this spot, but I'm almost positive if we hit our card, we're getting the rest of his money, and he's going to jam in that turn too. Looking down once again at ace 9 of clubs on the button this time, the undergun straddle is on. Cutoff makes it $20. In position here, we're going to make the call, and undergun calls as well. 3 players to a flop, which comes king, king, 4, 2 clubs, and a diamond, so we flop a nut flush draw. Undergun checks, cutoff bets $40, and here I think we have good fold equity to raise with our flush draw and bet $100. The only thing that should be calling us is a king X hand. We should be able to fold out a lot of bluffs, ace X's, and pocket pairs as well. Undergun folds, and the cutoff does in fact make the call. Heads up to a turn, which is the 8 of spades, and after getting called on that flop, don't feel so good, so when the cutoff checks, I'm just going to check this one back and take our free equity. River is the 4 of spades. The cutoff checks once again, and definitely could barrel here, but we have kings and 4s with ace high, so we have some showdown value. So I'm just going to check this one back, and the cutoff has pocket 5, so he definitely beats us there, and a barrel might have worked on the river, but unfortunate, given the way the action was played. He's supposed to have a lot of king X's, so definitely don't want to just bluff off a bunch of money. In this one, we are in the undergun straddle, and we look down at ace jack offsuit. Cutoff limps, button makes it $15, small blind makes the call, big blind gets out of the way, and here with a very strong hand in the undergun straddle, we're going to squeeze, try to take down that dead money, so we're going to 3-bet to $70. And all players do in fact fold. So nice way to take down some $36 and change dead basically, and move on with ace high. Looking down at ace 9 once again, but this time of the diamond variety in the small blind. Hijack makes it $15. I go ahead and make the call. Big blind makes it $40, and the hijack calls, and that's a pretty good price for me to call, $25 more to win 80. So we go ahead and make the call. 3 players to a flop, which comes 7, 5, deuce, 2 diamonds in a club. So we flop the nut flush draw. We go ahead and check it. The big blind bets $120, which is pot size. Hijack folds, and it's a really weird spot where he bet pot, so it's really hard for me to check raise. I'd be bloating the pot insane amounts and just losing a lot of equity, but I elect to make the call here. I have a feeling he's going to pay us off if we do hit the flush anyways, so no need to check raise. Make the call, and we go heads up to a turn, which is the Bink King of Diamonds. So we have the nut flush at this point. We go ahead and check it in flow, and the big blind checks back. River is the queen of clubs, and I'm going to go for max value here. I'm going to try to go for all his ace, king, X's, worst flushes, or sets, whatever it might be. If he folds, then so be it, but I go for $400 into the $360 pot. Big blind tanks for a very long time. He thinks it's a 6 spot. Not sure what he could be having here aside from something like ace, king, or better, but he does, in fact, finally make the call with pocket king. So we hit the gin turn to get max value in this spot and pick up a really nice pot here. And like I said, definitely think I just got lucky in that spot to hit a gin card where he has to pay me off. I don't think he pays me off, actually, in retrospect, if a diamond comes. So I think the flop call is a pretty bad one, pot size to call and not get any more implied odds on turn or river. But we do just get lucky there and are happy to take down that pot. In this hand, we have 7-6 offsuit in the big blind. Hijack makes it $20. The cutoff calls, and I call as well, defending my big blind. 3 players to flop, which comes king, 9, 8, 2 clubs and a heart. We do flop open-ended. The 10 side might not be the best, but we're more than happy to take a 5 if it does come. We go ahead and check. The hijack bets $30. The cutoff calls, and like I said, I'm open-ended, so I'm not going anywhere. I make the call as well. 3 players to a turn now, which is the 7 of hearts, so we do hit a pair as well as continuing to have that open-ended to the 5 or 10. We go ahead and check it. Hijack checks. Cutoff bets $125. That's a bit too pricey for us, so we are going to have to make the fold here, and the hijack folds as well. In the small blind this time with ace, king, offsuit, big, slick. Low jack limps, hijack limps, cutoff limps, and we're not going to let them in for that cheap, so we pop it up to $30. The big blind, low jack, hijack, and cutoff all call. So Texas heads up, 5 players to a flop, which comes 6, 5, 4, 2 clubs, and a diamond. It is not a very good flop for us, given our range and multi-way like this, so we're just going to check this one first position, and surprisingly, the rest of the players check through. Turn is now the 9 of diamonds. We do have the ace of diamonds, so we can represent some flush draws. We go ahead and bet $80. Don't have to go too big here to get these players out. The big blind and low jack snap fold. Hijack tanks for a while. Finally, thankfully, makes the fold. And then the cutoff surprisingly calls. River is the jack of spades, so there were flush draws on flop and turn. Clubs on the flop and diamonds on the turn. So on this brick river, I'm going to go bet $120. It's basically a blocking bluff bet. Looks like very value-y type of bet. And a cutoff fold saying he had a straight draw. So nice one to steal there with ace high and take it down. In this one, we're in the cutoff with 9, 8 of clubs. The undergun straddle is on. Low jack, hijack, and myself limp the $6. The button makes it $30. Undergun, low jack, hijack, all call, and that means I have a really good price to make the call, which I do, in fact, do. 5 players to flop, which comes 9, 4, 4, 2 diamonds and spade. It's a pretty good flop for us. We flop a pair, even though we don't have any other type of equity, to straights or clubs. Undergun checks, low jack checks, and hijack now bets $35. For that price, we're not going to go anywhere with top pair. We make the call, and the rest of the players fold. Turn is now the 8 of diamonds. So if we were behind a hand like 10-9, ace-9, we are ahead. We are losing to flush draws now, but when the hijack checks, I'm going to check this one back, of course, with our showdown value. Don't think he has diamonds if he didn't barrel this turn. Heads up to the river, 10 of spades. Hijack bet $60, and for that price, I'm not going to fold. If he has diamonds, then so be it. He got the better of me. If he has 10-9, then so be it. We go ahead and make the call, and the hijack has queen 9 offsuit, so we do beat him with our turn 8. So definitely nice little 3-outer on the turn for us to take this pot down and also get him to value own himself on the river. That's basically our last hand. As this other video clip, we have kings and we get no action. So we rack up, nice little profit, and we'll see you guys on the outro. leaving here, TCH Houston, in the game for 1,000, out of the game for 2,086. That's a profit of $1,086. Yeah, very standard poker. Definitely called a bit lighter on some spots. Talked over the ace-9 of diamonds hand with friends. Definitely, if I had a better hand like ace-queen, ace-king, ace-jack of diamonds, it's definitely a check raise. Ace-9 of diamonds, because he pot-sized bet, I probably shouldn't call there. I kind of got obviously lucky that he hit his set of kings when we make our flush. So we get paid there with the top of his range that he has to kind of call off with. But other than that, he probably doesn't call off with a lot of other hands when we do get there with diamonds. So definitely a spot where I just got lucky to get max value. Other than that, very standard session, I feel like. Played well, bluffs got through, and yeah, called it a profit for the day. And yeah, if you made it this far, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.